Back today with the third part of our video series on LinkedIn for job seekers and professionals. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about your story on LinkedIn. I know that it can be a challenging and daunting thing to try and come up with a brief description of a very complex and complicated life. However, brief descriptions work, and particularly on the web, they work very well. So you're going to want to condense all the many multifaceted aspects of yourself into something coherent, into a coherent story that you can tell as part of your social networking or job-seeking strategy. So, the first thing that you want to do is you want to figure out what your goals are. What are your goals for this particular story that you're telling on LinkedIn? It may be to get hired, it may be to expand your network, it may be to be seen as a thought leader in your field. Whatever your goals are, they're fine, but you need to be very clear about them. So I suggest that you take some time and write them down and use them to help focus your work. The second thing you need to do is figure out who your target audience will be. Will you be trying to reach out to people to partner with, to potential employers, to recruiters? Who will you be trying to talk to on LinkedIn through your profile? You want to know this because it's going to help you adjust your language and your message to really be powerful for those particular people. You also want to narrow down your group because not everybody is looking at your profile on LinkedIn in the same way. So you want to really say, okay, this is my professional presence. This is what I want to do for my professional web presence on LinkedIn. Maybe you have a professional web presence on Twitter or Facebook. If you do, the messages you send and the way that you communicate are going to be slightly different because the platforms are different. They have different norms of interaction. People have different expectations when using them. So you want to make sure that you're adapting your communications to whatever the expectation is on the particular network you're on. So once you've figured out your goals and your target audience for a particular message, then you also want to take some time to list out all the benefits that you bring to your work. So there are particular benefits that come with hiring you over hiring somebody who is your competitor for a particular position. There are particular benefits to working with you that might include even unrelated to work, life experiences. Perhaps you are very skilled at overcoming creative challenges. Perhaps you're very good at problem solving. All of these sorts of things can really be useful in a job and can be useful in the way that you work, but you might not have immediately thought, oh, that is part of my job skill set. So you want to take a few minutes. Maybe one of your benefits is that you have a flexible schedule. Maybe your benefit is that you don't have a flexible schedule and all you want is 9 to 5. Who knows? The point is you need to figure out what all your benefits are and list them out. So once you have a list of your goals, you know what your target audience is, you know where you're going to put your message on which social networking platform, in this case we're talking about LinkedIn, and you know how it is that you want to frame that message to communicate with your particular target audience and tell them the benefits of working with you. Then it's time to start creating your story. LinkedIn gives you a couple of different ways to interact with people, and it gives you several different ways to put the word out there about yourself. So the first place is your status bar. This is just like a status bar on Facebook or Twitter, and it's where you put short updates that tell people what it is that you're doing. So it may be what it is that you're doing for work, it may be a particular accomplishment, whatever the case may be. This is a professional update. What it is that you're doing right now, maybe a great article you've read. That's a good way to help people understand your level of knowledge and your expertise. So you will use your status bar on at least a weekly, if not more often, maybe bi-weekly basis to let people know that you're out there on LinkedIn and that you're paying attention. You also want to go in every so often, a couple of times a week. You want to go in, you want to comment on what other people are doing in your network. You want to pay attention to groups that both you belong to and that you don't. And you also probably want to look around at the other sections of the site. But when it comes to your profile, the next place that you get to tell your story is on your summary. Your summary should absolutely not come directly from your resume. It should be different than a resume. The language should be clear, easy to understand. You can use bullets and lots of white space as you're crafting the particular words that you want to put on the page. And you always want to work in a separate document and then copy and paste that information into LinkedIn so that you don't run any risks of losing your work. Okay, so it's very important, work in a separate document that you can save frequently and often on your desktop or on your computer, wherever you like, and then copy and paste that information into LinkedIn so that in case your internet connection has a problem, you never lose your work. In the summary section, you have the opportunity to tell people what you're passionate about, to tell them a little bit about your goals, but also tell them what it is you're willing to give them. How are you willing to help them out? If you're trying to grow your network, maybe you're willing to make introductions for people, maybe you are interested in collaborating or partnering with people. Whatever it is that you can do, you want to be sure and let people know it right there, because it's one of the first things that people look at when they look down your profile page. So you want to use powerful language, and if you can point to specific results that you've gotten in a particular job or something that you're known for in your work or in your industry, that would be a great place to do it. But what you don't want to do is get too bogged down in the details. You just want to give people a big picture perspective, and you do not want to repeat everything that's going to come below. Because down below we have a place where you can put your specialties. So these can be work-related and should probably also include some other interests that aren't necessarily directly related to work, so that people can get a better idea of you as a whole person. And then we have the opportunity to put information in both for your education and previous work experience. You want to take full advantage of this by using paragraphs, by using full sentences, not trying to mimic resume speak, but perhaps just highlighting a few major accomplishments from each of these different places to let people know in an overall way what it is that you've done there and what you've accomplished and why it is that this would be of benefit to this particular audience. So you're always coming back to your goals, to the benefits of working with you, to the particular target audience when you're shaping your message. The way that you communicate and the words that you use in the story you tell and the perspective from which you tell that story are all very important. So for example, if you want to tell a direct story, you could tell a story about a short anecdote about how you accomplished a specific thing. You could also tell a quick anecdote about how someone you worked with accomplished something and you helped that happen. You can let people know things both directly and indirectly, and the indirect way is very powerful because it's like showing them the benefits of working with you. So you don't always have to beat them about the head with it. You can also just show what it is that working with you will get other people and let them draw their own conclusions. So, in addition, it's very important to make sure you've got information in previous work history and in education. But remember, if someone's interested in hiring you, they can always request your resume. So you can keep particular details in your resume and not feel like you have to repeat everything in your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile should be short and catchy, but also informative, and most of all, it should be correct. So you should have proper dates and names, and you don't need to put references available on request because people assume that references are available on request. And this is an important aspect of your story. Another important aspect of your story that we'll talk more about in a future webcast is recommendations. You can get other people to recommend you, and you also tell about yourself by the people that you recommend. So you want to pay attention to that as you're thinking about it. But for right now, our focus is really on your profile and how you can make your profile tell your story in a compelling way. So I suggest that you do some thinking and that you also switch the perspective, your standpoint, if you will, that you tell your story from, and try it out on a few different people. So find somebody that's willing to listen to you think out loud and tell them your professional story from several different perspectives, whether it's a different timeline or a different emphasis or perhaps leading towards different jobs. We are all multifaceted people, and there are many different parts of our identities and many different ways we can tell our story.